Hey Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Dan. How are you doing?
I am not too bad. You in
Awesome.
Norway at the moment?
I am, yeah. I'm in
Yeah.
Oslo, so it's nice out there. We haven't been
Jeez,
back
yeah.
here in a long time. We don't really get to this part of the world very often. I like your Breakfast Club poster. It's great.
Thanks, man. Oh, it's a great
Yeah.
movie. You're not the first
I
person
live
to point it out.
I, I live like in the neighborhoods around where they filmed all that stuff. So all the John Hughes films, like
Oh,
Breakfast
really?
Club and Ferris Bueller and
You get to
Uncle
see their school
Buck.
and everything, and
Yeah, it actually wasn't a school. They used like I want to say they used like a gymnasium
Hmm.
and they made the whole library inside the gymnasium. It was crazy.
Yeah, they
But
did
it's
the same
all
thing with not Halloween, Home Alone.
uh yes, yeah, Home Alone also filmed that same area. That house
Yeah,
still is around.
yeah,
Uncle
that's
Buck, Home
crazy.
Alone,
Oh,
so many great
16
John Hughes
Candles.
films.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
Six
a
Candles all in that neighborhood.
he's a genius.
Yeah, it was kind of incredible, yeah.
Yeah, man. Look, yeah, like we haven't got too long, so I am gonna jump straight into it.
Yeah, please do.
We're here to discuss the upcoming album Ricochet, which is going
Mhm.
to be album number 10 for you guys, which is huge for any band, especially like, it's a huge feat. Uh, I was lucky enough to get a copy of the album just over a week ago, and I've listened to it countless times now. And to me, it's by far one of the best albums the band's done. And as much as that sounds like something you just tell an artist to blow smoke up their ass every time an album comes out, it truly is, man. Like it's every song's got its own identity. There's different things happening on the album we haven't heard before. Uh, like, do you know what I mean? And can you agree with that?
That's amazing. I love that you said that, obviously. And that was kind of like a little bit of our goal here was I think any band this long into a career like ours or making a 10th album, which 10 was the first number I've paid attention to. I've not paid attention to the last numbers. 10
Yeah.
was seemed like a big one. It was like, oh my gosh, double digit. Holy shit, this is crazy. Um, we could have made an album that you heard and said, oh yeah, this is Rise Against. But
Hmm.
we wanted to make an album that you heard and said, wait, this is Rise Against. Like
Yeah.
that was kind of like the success to me. No matter how else it was received, I just wanted someone to go, wait, this is Rise Against? Like that's kind of
Yeah.
what we set out to do, or at least I set out to do. And I feel like that's what has happened so far, and I hope it happens when people get the whole album.
I think they will. Like there are some songs, not to point any out, but there are certain
Mm,
songs that when they start, even just the opening guitar parts are a bit like,
yeah,
oh, that's different, you know.
yeah,
Even the single "I Want It All," like the first
mm,
time I heard that, like after a couple of listens, I was like, okay, yeah, that's Rise Against. But the first listen was
right,
very like, that's different.
yeah,
Like it's still Rise Against.
right.
Yeah. I did. Because you worked with the same producers for a while, and this time you're working with one of our own Australian, Catherine
Yeah.
Marks.
Mm.
Did she bring much to the table? Like, was she able to help there?
Yes. I mean, she brought a lot to the table because I feel like she was instrumental in creating a record that was going to stand out from our other 9 albums. Because we knew, or at least are self-aware enough to know, like the four of us, we've been doing this band for long enough. We're kind of like congealed in our ways in some way. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
sort of set in
yeah,
our ways. We're just gonna be Rise Against.
yeah,
Like no matter how hard we try to not be Rise Against, if that was our goal. But
yeah,
we knew we could change the production team. We knew we could change and find somebody that was largely unfamiliar with our band and just hearing it with fresh ears for the first time and
mm,
didn't come to the table with any of like the baggage that we might have or somebody else might have with Rise Against. Um,
yeah,
and our sound was largely created at the same exact studio. We made 6 records with the Blasted Room and Bill Stevenson and Jason Livermore. And so
yeah,
when people hear Rise Against, you're probably hearing a record made in that world, which are all records I love and are the records that why I'm here talking to you today.
yeah,
But we
yeah,
wanted to put in like a new, like a variable, like a new ingredient into the pot and see what happens. And so
yeah,
Catherine was that ingredient. Alan Moulder, the legendary mixer, like Nine Inch Nails, Smashing Pumpkins,
mm,
like he was part of the ingredients that we were going to put in this pot. And I think that worked because what you got was like those same rise against ingredients that we put into a lot of our records, but then adding a few different ingredients that came out something that we didn't really expect, or and I think people didn't aren't expecting, and so that was kind of um the ticket, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what he's saying like about changing with her, like it's like if you look at her back catalogue over the last
Hmm.
decade, like she doesn't work with bands like you guys, but the stuff she's dealt with, you look at Saint Vincent and that, like it very vocally laid in that. And I've noticed on this album that your vocals, you're doing some big leaps with your vocals. Was that Catherine pushing you and helping you there, or did you go into this kind of go, I'm gonna go up and do something new?
I feel like the songs kind of lent themselves to be handled a little bit differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and I think I just went in there hearing these songs and not being tied to like anything that I've ever done before.
hmm
Um, I think I'm honestly like in the last like 5 or 6 years, like I've learned a lot about my voice too. I never paid
Yeah.
attention to my voice or my singing. I just never did. It was just kind of like something I've been doing since I was like 16, you know what I mean? And never thought about
Yeah.
it. And it
Yeah.
was only when I like was seriously like approaching 40 probably. At that point, I feel like I'd been singing with just the sheer adrenaline of like youth. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what I've been doing. Like I'd never been properly trained or never like took lessons. And like about 5 or 6 years ago, I was like, I'd love to know more about how this works. You know what I mean? I'd
Yeah.
love to know more about what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. And so I've learned a lot in the last like 5 or 6 years. Like just like, oh, here's what you're doing right, here's what you're doing wrong, here's what you should be doing if you want to keep doing this, for another 10 years.
Oh
And so I
yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like some of those lessons that like have factored into everything from like my live show to the studio. So I've like figured out um I don't know how to just accomplish what I want to accomplish in different ways.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I want to ask you, like, I don't want to get into the politics of it all, like, but since Nowhere Generation came out 4 years ago, like, so much has happened. And it is no secret that you guys write a lot about politics and the
Yeah.
current climate, all that kind of stuff. That's no
Hmm.
secret.
Yeah.
Was because so much has happened, did you find it easier or harder to write this album? And I also kind of just to jam in with that, I was curious to know, touching on these heavy topical events, do you, as a singer, Tim, find it takes a toll on you, or is it more therapeutic?
It's definitely a little bit of both. I feel like, Rise Against, we put our foot down firmly into politics the day we started. You know what I mean? We were like kind of like,
Yeah,
look, this is who we are. I mean, we named our band Rise Against. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like, well, we set like pretty big shoes to fill.
yeah,
And so we've lived now through, at least in our country, like 5 different presidential administrations. You know what I mean? We were
yeah,
a band that was largely forged in the flames of like a post 9/11 America. And
yeah. Of
now
course,
we're
yeah.
living like the last like 8 years in like a Trump era and like the inflamed politics of like social media and
hmm
we're now living in a rise of like these seismic shifts in power and authoritarianism and tyranny, like not just in the States, but all around the world. And so like we have put our foot into a different era of politics for the last 25 years. And so we never shied away from commenting on it. And I think nowadays, especially as there's so much information, disinformation in the world, nowadays it's like about how do we define ourselves better to make sure
Mm,
that our songs like 25 years of like singing about revolution, you know what I mean? But for
yeah,
some people, that revolution means like eliminating women's rights. That revolution means
yeah,
like um harassing undocumented immigrants. That's their revolution. And so
yeah.
like to me, I'm like, how do we more clearly define who we are to make sure that people aren't misappropriating our music, you know what I mean, what we're talking
hmm
about, or being led down the wrong road, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when we started, it wasn't that hard to sort of like clearly define who we are, you know what I mean?
hmm
And
Yeah.
now that the waters have been so muddied, that now it's more just like, okay, here's what we're singing about.
Yeah.
Like when you're seeing a rise in tyranny around the world, these are the things that we've been singing against like for a long time. Like it's just pointing out that like that
Yeah.
our revolution is anti-racist, it's anti-sexist, it's anti-homophobic. Which like 15 years ago would have been this obvious no-brainer thing that you wouldn't have questioned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I
Yeah.
feel like, wait, do I have to say this? Do we have to say these things? And then I realized,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
It's
you do
crazy.
you do have to say these things now. Like you have to say
Yeah.
them louder than ever before, you know?
It's a crazy
Mhm.
world we live in, how far it's gotten. Like
Yeah,
it's nuts. I can see it taking a toll, but it's got to feel good to sometimes get that out. And,
absolutely.
yeah. Look, I want because that was quite heavy. I want to be able to end on quite a more chirpy note.
Fair enough.
Personally, I wanted to like say that uh, myself and I think a lot of Australians my age, 80s, 90s kids, discovered you in one particular way, and that was when you were added on to the 2003 soundtrack for Tony Hawk's Underground.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. I'm not sure at the time because from there I fell in love with you guys and everything about that song, like The Angel, and then onwards, it became my soundtrack. Uh, I'm not sure what you guys were like in the States, but did you feel a big global hit once you got added to that soundtrack? Like, did you feel a change?
You know, it it wasn't like an overnight change. Um, and none of us were video gamers either. And so
No.
it was like it's like its significance was kind of lost on us, to be honest. Like
Yeah,
we
okay,
and
yep.
um because at that point you're just trying to get your song on anything. You know what I mean? Or you're
Hmm,
hearing like, oh,
hmm.
this video added to your song or this game added to your song, and you're like, cool, I hope something, works. But it was years later I would meet so many people that was their first introduction to our song, you know?
Yeah,
And that was a time when video games were starting to eclipse like MTV, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
videos, stuff like that. They was starting to eclipse like even radio play.
yeah,
And I'll be honest, I was largely unaware that that was happening.
yeah.
And so it was a time when the band was like starting to get bigger. And even though we were getting some radio ad and some video play, yeah, I would find out later it was really like things like the video game stuff that was really reaching a lot of our future fan base.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think like how you guys came out when I was about 17, 18,
Hmm.
and all my mates that like it was such a big thing for us. Like I know everyone was the same with that song. There was just a collection of songs off that soundtrack alone that really took everyone by storm. And yeah, I
Hmm.
was very curious to know from your side how it impacted you. But yeah, and I got curious and I jumped on Wikipedia to have a look. Do you have any idea how many video games you're featured on?
So I don't have any clue. No.
52.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Whoa. I
Yeah.
would have not even said a double digit number, I don't think.
Oh, it's insane. Like I just think that's a crazy stat, man. Like,
That
yeah,
is
I had to let
wow.
you know
That
that.
yeah, that's cute. I did not know that. Thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's
That's a lot of video games.
yeah,
Now I gotta
it's
go
a
find that
lot.
list.
Um, you guys really haven't stopped touring since you were last here. You were here, for those who don't know, in Feb last year with Blink, which I got to bring my daughter along to. That was unreal. Uh, you haven't stopped touring all across the world with that. You don't have to give me details, but can we expect Rise Against on the Ricochet tour here in Australia?
Yes, absolutely. We're
Okay,
conspiring at the moment. So yeah,
cool, cool.
I don't know when, but we are making plans right now to get back and making sure Australia has been such a an awesome place for us to play, been so good to us. So we won't forget about it.
Yeah, you guys, you're no stranger to Australia. Like I've lost count of how many times I've seen you and how many times you've been here and jumped on the festival circuits and done your own shows, and it's always awesome, man. So
Hmm.
you're always welcome, obviously. We
We
love Rise
we
Against.
love Australia. We'll definitely be back.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Look, whenever it is, when you're here, I look forward to catching you, man. And it's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much, Tim, for the chat.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks to all of our Australian fans. We can't wait to get back.
Oh man, we're looking forward to it. And I can't wait for people to hear this album, dude. It's
Me
great.
too. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. I
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Cheers.